By Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of California. I am your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Wednesday. You know, the past few times that we've been on Inside Arkansas Live, we've actually been inside of a really swanky and nice Airbnb. But this time, fellas, we're here. We are here in the SAP Center, not the SAP Center, because they are very big on that. But we're here in the media workroom. We're getting ready to see some practices, get ready to see some guys in the locker room talking about, how all these things and how are you going to prepare for this team and all that stuff. Today's the day when we actually get to, it's like the pregame to the pregame of getting our vibes checked and everything. So how are the vibes for y'all now that we're finally here, finally in the arena, and we have our credentials too?
Yeah, really good. It's good to be in here. We've been walking around this venue for 3 days or something now. So it's nice to finally get in and check it all out. Very cool, super organized and detail oriented, way more so than where we were last week, which is nice. If you don't know where you're going, there's going to be somebody to point you in the right direction. But no, it's good, man. Texas is starting their open practice now. This will be a little bit different and a little bit better maybe than what we got last week, because last week it was literally like an open to the public half hour, just shoot around kind of thing. All the teams that are here are having full on game, day before game prep. So it's a legit practice. We only get like the first 15 or 20 minutes of it, but it should be a little bit more intensity. So I'm looking forward to getting out there and seeing the fellas.
Yeah, personally, I'm just excited to be back doing stuff again. We've had a lot of time on our hands, and we've enjoyed it. We've explored San Jose. We've enjoyed kind of decompressing a little bit after our drive down. But honestly, man, like there was this point yesterday where I just felt like I wanted to get back to work, and here we are today. We're ready to get back to work and ready to play some basketball, ready to see what these guys are like. We don't get to hang out with the team when we travel with them most of the time, so we get to hang out with them a little bit today, see what their energy's like, look in their eyes, see if they're ready for the moment. But no, I'm definitely excited.
Yeah, I mean, the excitement is awesome. Like the fact that we are sitting here and being able to get ready for the Sweet 16 and possibly and hopefully for an Elite 8 matchup. Is kind of one of those things where, they even changed the logo. You see like the backdrop behind us over here for the NCAA tournament. It's not just March Madness, but it's March Madness with Sweet 16 and Elite 8 under it. So it's like to even get the logo change, the vibe change, everything changes. And now, as you said, Andrew, it's like we feel like we're back in our zone again. Now that we're not just exploring, we're not just going with the flow. It's like, no, we get a schedule, we get an itinerary of when things are happening, and we're going to have great content for you. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, Inside Arkansas, because we're going to have all that locker room talk and what the guys and the fellas are feeling and the vibes are feeling. And also, I think it's so much fun, I say fun. Well, depends on how it goes, but just being able to be up close to the opposing team, we could sit there and watch them, but just to kind of size them up a little bit, and be like, all right, so we see you on TV, we watch highlights, but are you as tall as what you look like or what your media guide says, or are you, maybe a little bit on the short side, or are you one of those groups that are like, holy crap, this team's really big. Like that's also something too, just to size up your opponent, if you will.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. And, last week I thought that was really interesting because Hawaii, it matched what it said on the roster. High Point, which we knew was an undersized team, it did not. You could tell they were kind of gassing it up a little bit. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Arizona is going to be as advertised. And it's not so much like a height thing. It's not like Florida where they start three guys who are, 6'10" or 6'11", but they're going to be weight room strong and broad, thick, if you will. So I'm anxious to get a look at, how these guys look compared to Arkansas. It's going to be nice that we'll see the Razorbacks. We'll be around them. That's going to be fresh on our mind. Then you get a look at Arizona, and we can really start to do okay, so these dudes are way bigger and more physical, or we can go, it's not that much of a difference, really. I'm anxious to see what that looks like because obviously when it comes to the actual basketball, one of the biggest storylines going into this game is how will Arkansas be able to hold up in the paint, around the rim, against the physicality and the size that Arizona has.
You know what would help with that? Is if Nick Pringle were a full participant today and we can go out there, see him get around.
Eyes on that.
Like you said, we're only going to be there for the first 15 minutes of the practice, and so who knows, maybe they'll hide him from us and then bust him out later. But that'll be kind of a big thing to keep an eye on today. And guys, don't worry. I swear we're going to tell you We will let you know if they tell us about Nick Pringle's status. We will let you know, but also just kind of get a sense for Arkansas's feelings, and do they feel energized? Do they feel excited? Do they feel, because they've been on the road for a long time, just like us? Are they kind of exhausted? Do they kind of look annoyed? Like, you just never know. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to just sensing their vibes a little bit. And then we're not going to get a ton of hard hitting stuff out of the practice, but to just get a little bit of a feel for how everyone's moving around. Trevin took some tough bumps in that High Point game. Does he look 100%? Cal randomly said on the Pat McAfee show yesterday that Isaiah Sealy might play. So does that mean something else weird happened? Maybe is Carter Knox just doing 360 windmills through the gym there? Like, that'd be awesome too. But just to get a sense for all these things, because we haven't seen these guys in 4 days, which feels like a long 4 days.
Yeah, I know. And like the storyline going into it, it just kind of what I'm sure you guys have gotten the most questions about, and what people have been just jumping at the deal is just, all right, health status. What's the health status? What's the health status? And yeah, I think it's Nick Pringle for sure, but even the health status of Trevin Brazil. I mean, shoot, there's still people being like, hey, Carter Knox is going to be good to go. You think he'll play? It's like, yeah, it's the health status, which isn't very important, but that's what's, I don't mean it funny in a bad way, but just funny going into this where, we're walking in, we're going to have a chance to see it. But the first thing, maybe the first, second, and third thing is being like, where's Pringle? Okay, there he is. All right. What's he looking like? Ooh, he looks pretty good. He's moving pretty good. It's almost like that's exactly what everybody wants to know, because it's like, how good Darius Acuff is, how good all these players are. But the difference of having a Nick Pringle and not having a Nick Pringle seems to be pretty significant for this game against Arizona.
I would say so, man. It's Arkansas was able to navigate the 6 players thing fine. Last weekend they made it work, but you need to be able to be a little bit more aggressive against a team like that that's so heavy around the rim. They draw a bunch of fouls. They shoot a lot of free throws. I don't know that Arkansas is going to be able to play Arizona for an entire half and only have 2 fouls. If they do, they might give up like 65 points. So they've got to be able to be more physical in there and, just try to make Arizona uncomfortable. Having that extra body is going to be so important when it comes to that. And then Nick Pringle is obviously the guy who stands out as the most physical presence that Arkansas has. They need him. I hope that they have him. And it's crazy that we've reached this point where you got, a Darius Acuff on your team, and he's kind of the story nationally. But here we are going, and I hope that dude that's averaging 4 and 4 is at practice today, because Arkansas could really use him.
This is gonna be bad, because it's gonna incite the fan base to feel like they can yell at these guys and be mad. But I gotta say, Nick Pringle, I wouldn't say he's the most beloved transfer that's ever come through the University of Arkansas. I feel like it's very important for him to give Arkansas something in this NCAA tournament. Now, listen, if the guy's injured and he's not able to make it work, okay. But I just feel like the Razorback fans would not respond well if we finish this season and Arkansas winds up not getting anything out of their transfer big, really throughout the regular season or the postseason. I just don't think Razorback fans are going to respond well to that. And I'm not saying that they should be, firing off vicious attacks and tweeting at Nick Pringle or whatever, but I do think also, like, for this team, everybody kind of has their story. Everybody contributes on some level. The time is now. Like, you save him. You don't play him last week, hoping that you could have him available this week. And it's, he's a 6-year senior. This is his final chance here. I feel like there's just no way that they would just let his career end without him getting a chance to go out there. But I also thought he was going to play last week. And I thought he was going to play on Thursday. And then I thought he was going to play on Saturday. And so it's going to be very interesting. And I hope that everyone understands the stakes here, because I don't think Razorback fans are going to respond with a super nice and understanding sense of view on this situation. I got to say, one other thing I'm looking forward to today, the Darius Acuff aspect of this. And I know it's obvious because we know how cool he is and all that, but I love being at events like this, because you get the national guys who are like, wow, this Darius Acuff guy, he's pretty good. He cracked me up that McAfee yesterday was talking to Cal. He's like, Cal, I had no idea this guy was existing. This guy's just been playing ball all year. And so I am looking forward to watching everyone around, our peers, oohing and on a little bit about Darius Acuff.
Yeah, and then asking him probably the same questions that have been asked a billion times, in the local media. But, that's part of it. That's part of it and where it's at. But yeah, to your point about the Nick Pringle and the fan approach and everything, it's it's so funny because you're having this balance of you want every player to play really well, duh, of course. And you want them to play your best game, of course. But it's all right, with Nick Pringle, it's all right, well, if you don't play, there's going to be a weird feeling of that. But then if you do play, all right, well, we don't need you for the whole game, just some. And then when you're in there, just just do something. It's like, it's so funny how you're needing somebody and wanting somebody to play. That's so important, that hasn't done a whole lot, but yet you're also only needing them for like 5-10 minutes, just to give a spell, just to help out a little bit, maybe get physical a little bit, maybe get a foul or two. Like, the expectation, even if he does play, is not like through the roof, is we need a double. It'd be really cool if he got one, but it's almost just like, hey, this is an all hands on deck type of situation. You're going up against a 1 seed in Arizona. We all know the circumstances. Now it's a matter of, hey, if you're going to go out there, you're going to have to do something for us. You're going to have to help Malik Ewan. You're going to have to help out Trevin Brazil. You're going to have to help out this stuff. It's just funny. Almost one of the most important players on this team right now is the guy that is going to probably play the least amount of minutes on against Arizona.
It is true. I like what you said about helping out Malik Ewan, because he's been so good for Arkansas in the NCAA tournament with back-to-back double-doubles. The one game he had 6 assists and 4 blocks or something mixed in. And so a lot of people, I think, could just look at it from the surface level and go, well, care. Like, Ewan, all of a sudden he's playing 35 minutes a game, and look at what he's doing there. But this is a little bit different. It takes some pressure off of him. It keeps him fresh so he can do his work offensively and maybe get a guy like Krivas in foul trouble, because you're going to need to do some of that. But if he's got to just lean on this 270-pound man for 25 minutes throughout the course of the basketball game, that'll wear on you. It's going to wear you down. It's almost impossible not to foul him some. The 5 extra fouls to give, I think, is the most important part of the equation when it comes to this, which is interesting. But for everybody, they're going to have to level up from a standpoint of physicality. And again, we'll be able to size these guys up a little bit here later. But if you just kind of go through their lineup, again, it's not so much about the height and everything that stands out. They're just all big. Even their guards are in that 205 to 215 pound range. They've been in the weight room, man. And you see that from 1 through 5 throughout the course of their lineup. And for the most part, even the guys they bring off the bench, like they bring the dude from Tennessee off the bench, Awaka, and he's like 250 pounds solid as a rock. That's where it's really going to impact things. So it's kind of a battle. It's like thunder versus lightning in a sense of, one team's just going to kind of beat on you and pound you. And then the other team is going to play above the rim and jump over the top of you and beat you down the floor. So which style is going to win, we'll find out. But I'm looking forward to seeing it.
I mean, is it dramatic to say that Pringle's role in this game is almost like the guy who gets sent to the front lines of war, where it's like, you kind of just need to soften up that front line right there a little bit. But no, I think also Trevin Brazil, as always, is such an X factor for Arkansas in a lot of ways. One, just because he's a guy that can take over a basketball game, regardless of the matchup, regardless of what the opponent has going on. Trevin Brazil has that type of capability. But in these matchups where you realize it's going to be a huge front court battle and you're going to have to rise to the occasion, we often focus on the transfer centers because those are the ones you worry about more and you kind of wonder what version of those guys you're going to get. Trevin is that kind of guy that not only can help you, in the rebounding department, can help you with some physicality, but also can put the Arizona front court in some disadvantageous positions, can maybe stretch those guys out a little bit. Feels like a lot of Arkansas's issues all year long, Trevin Brazil offers somewhat of a solution to all of them. Oh, we're not making a 3-ball? Well, Trevin can make the 3-ball. Oh, we're not getting a ton of rebounds? Well, Trevin can rebound. Oh, we don't really have a ton of rim protection? Well, Trevin can protect the rim a little bit. And so, as always, Arkansas' ceiling is just higher when Trevin Brazil is confident, locked in, engaged, intense, ready to roll. I really like the energy that he brought and just kind of the focus that he had last week. I know he was banged up and wasn't quite as good in that High Point game, but even him coming back and kind of finishing it out and giving Arkansas what he could down the stretch, I thought that was really important for him. And so I'm excited to see kind of how he factors into this because he's the ultimate X factor that can completely change the way we view this entire matchup.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We continue our discussion here live from San Jose for the Sweet 16 here in the SAP Center. But want to remind everybody that Blue Ember Smokehouse is one of our great sponsors and making it possible for us to give you all the great coverage each and every day here on Inside Arkansas. And there's a lot of different reasons to go to Blue Ember Smokehouse, not only just because of the incredible barbecue that you can get, but also the incredible vibes and all the sides that you can get. But here's the best thing about it is they cater for any event. I don't know if anybody heard this. Easter's around the corner. And with Easter, you need ham. It just goes hand in hand. Luckily for you, Blue Ember Smokehouse, we're going to hook you up, as they can get you an Easter ordered ham and a fantastic ham that feeds 18 to 20 people, $65. So you don't have to worry about having to deal with all the kitchen stuff, and then you got on Sundays because you still got to go to church in the morning, and then it's chaos and everything. Well, don't worry about it. Let them take care of it. So you get a ham, feeds 18 to 20 people for $65. You can also get the sides that go along with it: mac and cheese, green beans, potato salad, baked beans, half pan that feeds 20 to 25 people for $40, or a full pan that feeds 40 to 50 people for $60. You can pick it up on Saturday, April 4th from 10:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. unless otherwise requested. You got some circumstances that need to happen. That works too. But either way, you got 6 locations there in the state of Arkansas: Fort Smith, Jonesboro, Texarkana, Little Rock, Hot Springs, and Rogers, with their phone numbers on the screen right there. So hit up Blue Ember for your Easter holiday season with some Easter hams from Blue Ember. So, but yeah, guys, we're gonna have a chance to kind of see, and it's a little bit different this time. Not like overly different, but as far as like access and everything, because I guess today it's 15 minutes of practice they'll get to check out instead of what if you wanted to call it a practice? They're on the court doing stuff. That's kind of like what they did last week. So we'll have just a little bit to see that, but from the locker room and everything. And, obviously if we have a chance to talk with Nick Pringle, who do you think is going to be the fascinating player to hear from for Arkansas going into this matchup? Is there like one that just really stands out as far as like, hey, if we had our dibs, who do we want to talk to first in this matchup?
I want to talk to Billy because I feel like he's the one guy that I just have not been able to have a conversation with here in the NCAA tournament so far. I think one day he was at the podium, so we didn't see him, and the other time he was helping us interview everyone else. So we never got to talk to him. So he's pretty high on my priority list. Malik Thomas always is. I would love to say Darius Acuff, but he's a guy who's going to be a few words. He's not going to have a whole lot to say, but I am very interested to keep an eye on Darius Acuff because that's not his favorite thing in the world, right? He just wants to focus. He wants to be locked in, and he wants to hoop. He wants it to be all about the basketball. And even more so than it has been all year, we've seen it throughout the course of the week. The conversations about Darius Acuff have just continued to lift and lift and lift. That star continues to shine brighter. He just signed the shoe deal, and everything like that. He is going to get absolutely swarmed in that locker room, and he's probably not going to be crazy about it. But I wonder how he handles that. And you don't want anything to become a distraction. I don't think it will, but the amount of cameras and microphones that are going to be in that poor man's face is going to be at a level that he's never experienced before. And I hope that he kind of maintains that, hey, it would be awesome. He put a big smile on and panned up for the cameras and everything. But I want to see that same stoic, the kind of the scowl, and he just gets over with it and then gets out there and gets on the floor for practice. You know what I mean? So I'm going to have eyes on how he handles all the attention that he's going to be getting here. I think he'll be fine, but it's going to be a different experience for him here in San Jose.
Yeah, I certainly hope that I'm sure he understands that. I mean, he knows that he's a very popular guy. He knows that everybody wants to talk to him. I hope that he's prepared for that and, will at least give somewhat of an effort to communicate with people and kind of talk a little bit, because that's like we were talking about the other day. That's something he's going to have to do a lot of. One, just in your NBA life, there's going to be an old white guy with a phone in your face every single night when you get done playing. You're also going to have to do interviews for the draft. You're going to have to do endorsement stuff. Like, you're going to have to talk to people you don't want to talk to a lot. And so I get it. He's not the biggest fan of it. That's part of the job, and that's something that you kind of have to just get used to. For me, it's Malik Thomas for a lot of reasons. One, because Malik's our guy. I mean, he's always excited to see us, which makes us feel good. He's also a good personality. He doesn't mind talking to people. He actually kind of maybe even almost enjoys talking to the media a little bit. So I figure he's going to give us some good stuff. Also, I think he likes his position of being kind of the forgotten freshman that doesn't have all the crazy flair around him. And everyone respects Malik Thomas. I mean, he might be a first-round pick. I've seen a lot of national guys even say, hey, don't forget about that other freshman, Malik Thomas. And so I'm not here to say he's like an unknown commodity that no one's talking about. But I think he relishes in that opportunity to kind of do what people don't expect him to do. I think he's got to be a guy that's chomping at the bit for this type of matchup. He's also got some experience. I believe he played a lot against Coapete in the AAU circuit. And I don't know if they were just rivals or what, but I know they've crossed paths a little bit. And so I wonder if he's got maybe some type of story like that, about Coapete. And
they might have teamed up also with USA basketball. I'm going to ask them about that today.
Yeah, I definitely think that there's some type of he would have something to give us there. I also just think about the star power in this matchup of a lot of guys on both sides that just everyone's talking about potential first round picks. I think Malik Thomas thrives in those situations, and I think he always plays with a little extra edge when he knows there's more eyeballs, when he knows he's got something to prove. And so I'm excited to see what his mentality looks like going into tomorrow.
Well, to that point, I mean, I know that there's a lot of great games that are left in the brackets and, getting into the Sweet 16 and everything. But I think that, I mean, is this the best matchup of all the games in the Sweet 16 as far as the interest, as far as the flair, as far as the, obviously from our perspective it is, but from any other perspective, would it be more Duke and St. John's? Would it be more the UConn-Michigan State angle?
Duke and St. John's is a heck of a game. But Arkansas, Arizona's got to be up there. Now, Duke and St. John's for different reasons, I think, because of the Patino factor and, the Cam Boozer and Zuby Ejiofor matchup is awesome. But this is, I mean, it's got to be in the top tier of games. The entertainment value here is crazy between these teams. I saw somebody in the chat earlier said maybe more projected draft picks in this game than any others. And there might be some truth to that, honestly. I mean, Arkansas could have, I think they're probably for sure going to have a couple, but they could have upwards of 4. In Arizona, man, like between those two freshmen and Koa Pete and Braden Burries, Krivas, there are several guys there who are going to be playing, in the NBA, whether it's, this coming year or the year after that. So there is a lot of star power out here in San Jose, and we're not even talking about the other game with Tremont March.
Yeah, I also think from a casual fan standpoint, the way Arkansas and Arizona play, and the way specifically Arkansas, like the way that they like to get out and run is going to be aesthetically pleasing. The draft prospects, most casual college basketball fans, that's usually what they pay attention to and where the draft guys at. And I think Arkansas, Arizona probably, I haven't really dove deep, but I would imagine it is the number one NBA draft game to watch of the Sweet 16 so far. And I think in terms of you compare it to Duke St. John's, not that Duke St. John's isn't going to be a awesome, tight, competitive game. I think from just a casual fan standpoint, Arkansas, Arizona is probably going to provide a few more highlights if I had to guess.
Yeah. I mean, just because of, the elements of not only just having Darius Acuff and, John Calipari over here, but then you got Arizona, the number 1 seed. And, the elements of that are going hand in hand. And you see a lot of people talking about it, which of course, they do. It's in the Sweet 16 and everything. But I do want to bring it up as far as when it comes to some of the betting lines and everything. But want to remind everybody, Bet Saracen is the official sponsor here of Inside Arkansas and our coverage of the NCAA tournament. Really appreciate them being a title sponsor here, where you get the deal, folks, right now. If you're feeling Arkansas, because I'm telling you right now, Arkansas is an underdog in this game. Arkansas has done a good job against the spread, but if you're feeling them, well, then you better bet on them with Bet Saracen. And if you use the code INSIDEAR250, where you scan that QR code right there on your screen or click the link in the description below, it's going to take you to download the Bet Saracen app. Whenever you use that code INSIDEAR250, you're going to get $250 just by betting $25. So if you think Arkansas is going to win this game handedly, put $25 on the Hogs, and you're going to get $250 for free just to bet on. And you can only do that with Bet Saracen. It's Arkansas's number 1 sports wagering app. Again, download the app by clicking the link in the description below or scanning that QR code and use code INSIDEAR250 for $250 whenever you bet $25 with Bet Saracen. So, but guys, this line continues to move down. I woke up this morning and checked it on Bet Saracen, and it's now minus 7.5, where it originally opened up in the double-digit range, about 10.5 and everything. And so to kind of put that into perspective, there's only 2 games that are this much of a spread difference left, and it's this game as well as Purdue and Texas. So both of the games over here in San Jose are the highest spreads. So I thought that was interesting, and also the fact that how much Arkansas's Arizona is it's moving out pretty quick.
It's very interesting. What is what's the spread in the Michigan-Bama game?
The Michigan-Bama
I would have thought that would have been more, but
well, yeah. Well, oh, sorry. What I meant was like opening up. But yes,
I see.
So it's 9.5 for that one. But yes, yes. The 2 ones over here at 7.5. Duke is 6.5 point favorites over St. John's. UConn-Michigan's a 1.5 point favorite. So I mean, we're right neck and neck. And same thing with the banger of Nebraska and Iowa. That one everyone's looking forward to is 1.5 for Nebraska, and then Houston's only 3.5 over Illinois. So
7.5 feels fair to me. I mean, I think that's about right. When it opened at double digits, I was like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Show some respect. One team has Darius Acuff here. What are we doing? But no, I think that's probably about right.
Yeah.
I think it's about right. And I also think it's very interesting that the line is moving so much. And listen, line movement, 1 point or another is really not the end of the world, but it's usually rare that you see Vegas kind of chase their tail a little bit like this. Cause usually, you're trying to get equal money on both sides and you're kind of just content. There's going to be some people betting one side, people are going to bet the other, and you're kind of just content to let the line sit there. And there's a lot of times where we maybe are baffled by a line and we don't see it move that much. The fact that it's moved damn near 3 full points over the course of 2 days, I think tells you a lot about the people that believe in this Arkansas team and that are like, you know what, F it. Darius Acuff's going on a run here. But also that Vegas doesn't feel confident with that many people betting on Arkansas. They're like, holy cow, we don't want to be screwed here in case Arkansas does win or does cover that spread. And so that line's moving like crazy. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I do too. And of course, I know a lot of people are, and especially in Arkansas, like we'll see when it actually comes together at the very end of the, I guess, a tip tomorrow. Will it stay right there around 7.5 or will it continue to move? But yeah, I just think there's just so many people too going to the angle of outside the state of Arkansas or whatever. They see the Pat McAfee show with John Calipari. Maybe they don't watch much basketball or whatever, have much attention, but then they see that and they watch Pat McAfee, and then Cal's on there talking about all these things. And then he's talking about Darius Acuff. He's like, hey, this is what Darius Acuff did. And they're like, wow, they have a player that does that? Kind of like what Pat McAfee was shocked by it. It's like suddenly they're like, man, okay, well, I like this Arkansas team because they got that guy I'm going to bet on. Like, there's just so many things of like, once you get to this level of national like understanding and people talking about you on the national level, I think it just changes people's ways of thinking where they may not even know anything about Arkansas, but they're like, that Acuff kid looks pretty good. So I'm always going to bet on that kid and that team because of that reason. Like, that's what it is sometimes.
Yeah, and Arkansas is kind of the ultimate highlight team too. So for those who don't, get to lock in and watch every single game, you can tune in just long enough or go check the highlights or whatever, and you see Arkansas out there. Darius Acuff doing what he's doing, obviously, but Malik Thomas, the way he goes about his business, some of those threes he hits with that quick release, it gives the ooh and ah factor, and you lead the country in dunks. So you see what a guy like Trevin does. Really, any of these do. Billy, as explosive as he is above the rim, all the lobs and everything. People love that kind of stuff. So you see that, and you look at this Arkansas team, and you go, "Wow, like these dudes are built different right here." You dig into the weeds a little bit more, you might find some of those flaws on the defensive end, but not everybody does that. So I get it, man. And Cal he's one of the best self-promoters in the world and of himself and of his programs there. So he gets on all these shows. I thought he was awesome on McAfee yesterday. And some of it was playing the hits, but some of it was pretty good too. Did you guys see how he was showing off the watch, the wrist work?
Yes.
That was really good, man. I like that.
And if you think about this game, like let's say that you live in Chicago, Illinois, and you are a huge sports fan and you love college basketball and you have no rooting interest for Arizona or Arkansas. If you're just watching this game, what would be your big fear? Your big fear would be the most boring situation plays out, which is Arizona taking care of business, them maybe roughing Arkansas up on the front court a little bit, them playing great defense and making life tough on Arkansas's guards, and then winning by double digits. That is the worst case scenario from a casual fan's viewing standpoint. So I think there are a lot of people nationally or just like fans around the sport in general who are looking at Arkansas as like, hey, they can make this thing fun. If Arkansas gets going, it's going to be awesome. One, just because an upset's always cool. Anytime you see a number one seed go down fairly early, that's cool. But I think Arkansas play style-wise, it's like you're kind of hoping that Arkansas is able to kind of do what they want to do. And so I think that's interesting. I am a little bit worried now that we're talking about the betting lines that there's going to be another wave because, we are in the arena of the Sharks. So it is worth noting there are people genuinely out there who spend thousands of dollars to move a line another direction just so they can get it at another spot. And so if randomly 3 hours before tip, several $100,000 come in on Arizona minus 7.5, I will lose my confidence just a little bit.
Yeah, no, that would be crazy, but I also wouldn't put it past anything that's going on. So, but yeah, the excitement and the energy and the way that Arkansas plays, I think, is a big part of it too. Just like I don't want to sit here and say they're the best team left, but I could make the argument. I think everybody can make the argument that they are the most fun team to watch. They are the most fun team to see, and also like the intrigue of in this particular matchup too, because of how they play with the dunks and Acuff and all of that. It's like, man, I don't think Arkansas is better than this Arizona team, but man, they'd be fun to watch because they could be. It's like one of those things of just there's that intrigue of people that are like, I don't believe it, but because of how fun they are and because of Acuff and all that, they absolutely could be that team that ends up beating Arizona. And then if that happens, as weird as it is, because I know we'll talk a little bit about because everyone's talking about the disrespect Arkansas is getting, which is good to see. But it's like a matter of people.
Is Arkansas getting disrespected, by the way?
Yes.
By who?
I could share hundreds of examples.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who think
we're
Arizona's
going to pull it
win,
out of our ass.
But I just meant I feel like everywhere I watch, I'm seeing people being like, "Oh yeah, Arkansas is cool. Arkansas can make this thing fun. We love Darius Acuff."
I think a majority of people who cover the sport think the run ends here, and been very critical of Arkansas's defense. I think that's what people are talking about.
Sure, but is that disrespectful to be like, oh, you're probably not going to beat Arizona?
To go ahead and cast them aside this early,
I mean, I just think that's the way the fans are going to be no matter what, man. Yeah. But that's honestly, and I mean this with love, fans. I love that because that's your comfort zone as a Razorback fan. That's what you are. No, I know everybody's disrespecting it, because I think I saw Tamra in the chat was just like, they keep talking about Arkansas's bad defense. What about Alabama's bad defense? It's kind of like that thing where it's like, well, you're talking about ours, but what about theirs? That's the type of stuff that gives me good energy about going into this, because that is when you're at your best. As a Razorback fan, but as just a Razorback program in general, is when you're like, people are doubting us, people are not giving us the respect, people aren't doing this, people are doing that, and then you go out and you show it. And so I'm excited about that, and I love the fact that that's how they're feeling and that's how they're approaching this in this way.
Did y'all see that Arizona account that was like, nobody, and I mean nobody, believes in Arizona?
Right. Oh. That's kind of where I was at. Like, where I think a lot of people, like we see Jeff Goodman say some dumb shit, and we're like, oh yeah, that's how everyone feels. Because I feel like I have seen a lot of Arkansas love, not necessarily picking Arkansas to beat Arizona, but I haven't gotten the vibe that like the national media is like disrespecting the Hogs necessarily.
Not disrespecting. I think some of the criticism it's just been lacking context. Like, I've seen a lot of the re-ranking the Sweet 16, and it's just like Arkansas hasn't guarded anybody. They're not, and I think a lot of Razorback fans who've been watching really intently are going, well, it's because our coach told us not to, because we only have 6 players. You know how it is. But what folks have to understand is that these guys they're not tapped into one specific team the way that we are. So they're not going to be privy to all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's always
some people probably didn't even realize Nick Pringle didn't play. And no disrespect, but
Yeah. Well, it kind of makes me laugh at, because sometimes you just kind of manufacture this motivation that you have. And it was always for a great examples, like when Bryce Young won the Heisman Trophy, and he gets up there, he's like, I've been disrespected my whole life. And I'm like, you were like a 5-star player, and like you got a scholarship to Alabama. And he's like, people have doubted me. Kirby Smart over at Georgia does that. He's like, not one person believes in us. I'm like, you are the number 1 team and you're undefeated. Like,
yeah.
So sometimes you just manufacture those things. But hey, whatever it takes to get that thing of taking it personal and getting after it. If it's, Cal going to the team and is like, nobody likes us and cares for us. If that's what gets them to play that way. But I think fans are just always going to feel that way, kind of like what you said, Chris, because most of these people aren't tapped into the team day to day. These people are probably just realizing, like, oh, yeah, Arkansas's in. How about that? Yeah, that's cool, man. And then they go from there.
I have noticed a good amount of battered Wildcat syndrome, battered Arizona syndrome. There's been a whole lot of that. That I've seen on social media, most of it from their fan base, but I've seen a little bit of it from their, people like us also, who are just like, I know this team is good. They've had an historic regular season, but we've seen this story before, and they haven't been able to get past the Sweet 16, I guess, under Tommy Lloyd, and they've been really high seeds in the past few years. I know they lost to Princeton one year, and it's kind of, the run has ended here a few times. And so then now they're looking at it going, great, we got to see this Darius Acuff guy now. So it is kind of funny, because sometimes we look at the battered hog syndrome stuff and we're like, man, y'all got to suck it up, Buttercup, a little bit, man. But it happens anywhere, honestly.
You know what all 4 of the 1 seeds have in common? Obviously, they won a lot of games to get to where they're at, but they all reached a point in January, February, maybe even early March where like it felt like they were unstoppable. And they like kind of found their form before any of these other teams. Like, that's how you become a 1 seed, is because you're better earlier in the season than everyone else. I wonder if that fear of peaking too early also has to factor in. I mean, do you think about Michigan back in November, December? Michigan was beating everyone by 40. I mean, they were completely and utterly dominant, similar to how Auburn last year, when they were in November, December playing Houston, all these other teams, they were dominant. And they're obviously still very good, but there is a little bit of that where it's like, can you keep up that level of basketball for 4 months? I think that has to be a huge concern, because Arizona has. I mean, if these 2 teams played in January, Arizona would have beat Arkansas by like 27, and that's not an exaggeration, and that's not disrespectful. If you don't believe me, just watch Arkansas play Georgia in January. They got beat by 27 because they were, it's like they just weren't on that same level. I feel like Arkansas's season has kind of played out in a way to where they've been kind of building, and they're clearly a much different team right now than they were back in January. I wonder if on the Arizona side they look at it and they're like, all right, I'm sure we're better, more experienced, but it's like, are we better than we were 3 months ago? I don't know if that's a definitive yes for them. Whereas Arkansas and some of these other teams that are peaking in March, it's no doubt about it. Like, we're definitely better than we were 3 months ago. I wonder if Arizona fans feel that, where they're like, have we been getting better, or are we just kind of hanging around now?
It's a really good point.
Yeah, I think that with Arkansas, it's about ascension. It's been their ascension, and I think everybody can agree that Arkansas is playing their best basketball right now than what they have all year long. And I think that that's where sometimes concern comes in. I don't know if there's just a magic way of doing it, but everyone talks about, you want to play your best basketball right now and in March. It's like, I think it's always just easier said than done, because then at the same time, I'm like, well, do I not want to play my best also in the beginning of the year too? Like, it's just interesting thing. And sometimes, as we always talk about, especially in college tournaments, like whether it's basketball or in baseball or whatever, it's always about getting hot at the right time. And hey, sometimes it's not the best team, it's the hottest team that ends up winning it all. And if you're a Razorback fan, that's kind of what you're hoping for, is that, hey, you're the hottest team right now. Like, you're hoping that you're the hottest team, because at the end of the day, no one cares who's the hottest team, best team, whatever. They only care about who wins the national championship. And it doesn't matter if people are going to be like, well, Arkansas won the national championship, but they weren't the best team there. No, it's like, no, you won the national championship. That's what matters the most. So it's just a matter of, you being that hot team that I want you to be the team that everyone thinks you are. That you are that hot team, that you are that team that's good enough to do it, that you are that team that go out and beat Arizona, and not the team that some people who hate you are trying to be like, Mickey Mouse stuff. You haven't played double-digit seeds. You haven't beaten anybody worth anything. It's like, no, this is your time now to be like, put all that to silence and doubt. It's like, because if you beat Arizona, there's no more of this, like, you've just gotten lucky with matchups. It's like, no, you are that team, instead of just getting the Mickey Mouse type allegations that people keep throwing around to you as well.
Yeah. I think Arkansas would have been here regardless. Like, if they would have wound up playing, Wisconsin instead of High Point or whatever, I think they would have gotten through that game. But it would be a little bit irritating, because it's completely out of Arkansas's control. They might have won the SEC tournament had they have played. Who would they have gotten? A&M and then Bama, I guess. Whatever. They might have won that thing anyway. But I'm kind of tired of hearing that. And for all those other fan bases that are saying that stuff, you would take that path with a smile on your face if you had the opportunity to do so. But it would be nice to get that full-on validation of, okay, now here's your 1 seed. Now they're out of here. So what do you have to say now? Like, what would be the next line of excuses that would come from other folks out there?
Yeah, and that's why it's like, once you get to the end of the year, we stop doing this game where we kind of nitpick the route and all that, because once you get to a certain level, you've kind of proven yourself. You've beaten whoever was in front of you, and usually you have to face a team like this. And so it's pretty simple for this Arkansas team. That's kind of been the last step of their evolution, the last challenge that they haven't really completed yet, is beating an elite team. And they've gotten their opportunities, and that back in November, December, they were obviously just a different team that maybe wasn't quite ready for that. I think that has to be the story here for Arkansas, is kind of prove to yourself, prove to your fan base, prove to everyone you are ready to beat an elite basketball team. And would it have been cool had they done it in Nashville? Yeah, I guess it would have been. I'll take this one. You know what I mean? Like, this is definitely going to mean a little bit more than beating Florida in the SEC title game would have meant. And so I'm excited that Arkansas has this opportunity to kind of rewrite the story of their own season.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to have our heavy hitters here in just a little bit too. But let's go and get to your chats. But I want to remind everybody, Hickey and Hull Law is going to have you covered for all of your legal needs. Doesn't matter if it's divorce cases, custody cases, criminal cases, civil litigation, personal injury, estate planning. They do it all. Our guy Brad over there, anytime that you hit him up and call him up or email them or go on to the website, whatever it is, they're going to get right back with you and help you each and every step of the way, no questions asked. And I know that there's always a lot of stuff that when dealing with these cases, it can get pretty nasty at times, and it can be something that gets very personal. And there's so many different details that you want to make sure that you don't leave out or you don't miss out on, because it's so important. Well, let the professionals at Hickey and Hull Law, let them have you covered. So you have offices across the entire state of Arkansas, Fayetteville, Fort Smith, Little Rock, as well as Mena. And you can call them today at 479-434-2414. That's 479-434-2414. You can also check out their website at hickeyandhull.com. Scan that QR code right there on your screen. It's Hickey and Hull Law. Things are about to get better. All right, so getting to some of your chats, folks. As we all know the rules, Super Chats get read first. That's just the way it is. Shout out to our guy, Lane. Appreciate it. He goes, Ty Briscoe. Don't forget the name. The kid's got a bright future ahead.
Yeah, how about Ty Briscoe, man? Just came out of nowhere yesterday, pumping 95, 96 every pitch from the left side. I mean, this is a guy that genuinely, hadn't pitched for Arkansas this year. He was Arkansas's 17th pitcher to appear in a game this season. He was number 17. So you want to talk about depth on your pitching staff. When number 17 comes out and he's throwing 96 from the left side, you got some good stuff. But he wasn't even throwing in the scrimmages leading up to the season. This is a two-way guy from Texas that they kind of liked better as a hitter. Clearly something has changed, because he was 90, 91 in the fall. All of a sudden now he's 95, 96. I don't know if they just saw something in a bullpen. Maybe he came to them. He did the Will McIntyre, banged down the door and was like, let me pitch. And they just let him. But I like it. It's a really positive development for Arkansas. And I feel like the story of yesterday's game, I'm sure I think there's a couple other questions we'll get to. But the story of yesterday's game was Arkansas's freshman class balling out and putting some pressure on some older guys. And love to see Ty Briscoe doing the same thing.
I cannot wait for Arkansas to have like one game where a pitcher's not his A game. But Ty Briscoe, why is he not playing? Why is he not pitching?
I literally got someone dead serious asked me, they were like, why can't this guy be the Sunday starter? And I'm like, I don't know, because that was his first career inning
against UCA. Yeah, it's a
little different.
Yeah, appreciate Arkansas. My man says, in my opinion, our defensive game plan should be to pack the paint early, then create late shot clock chaos / rushed shots to disrupt Arizona's rhythm and force more threes / jump shots, which Tommy Lloyd doesn't want.
I'd be all for that. I don't think Arkansas is going to change much of what they typically do on the defensive end, but I do hope that they make an adjustment and pay a little bit more attention to what's going on in the paint. It's kind of like we talked about yesterday, man. You can't just play behind the big fella in there, and Arkansas has been pretty content with doing that this year, although I will say, last weekend, Malik Ewan was working a lot harder to get around and deny those post entries, but you're not going to be able to do it every single possession. When that ball goes in there onto the block, especially with the 7-2 guy, you've got to be willing to bring some help down there. I like this because Arizona can shoot threes. They just don't. I think there's only 2 teams in the country that shoot fewer three-pointers than they do, per field goal attempt or whatever. And Arkansas is kind of down there too, but I think they shoot it like 36, 37% on the year. So the ones they take, they usually make. But even when they're making them, if they're shooting too many of them, Tommy Lloyd's not happy about it. He's so big on that downhill stuff to where I agree with that. Help off of certain guys and go down there and dig that thing out of the post. And if they want to shoot the 3-pointers that they don't want, you live with that unless they make like 4 in a row. And then you could make an adjustment there. But I think that's the way to do it. Give a little bit extra help, cut off those driving lanes, and keep the ball out from around the rim and rebound. Malik Thomas has been rebounding so good out of the backcourt. Billy Richmond has really leveled up his work on the glass. Those guys are going to be so important in this game because you can't just say, all right, Malik Ewan, you're guarding the 5, so you got to get every rebound over the 7-2 dude. No, all 5 dudes are going to have to crash in there and get them. I think Arizona had 22 offensive rebounds against Utah State, and they could get 22 rebounds against Arkansas if these guys aren't dialed in and everybody pitching in on the backboards.
It's going to be huge. I mean, the math checks out in basketball. It really does. If your opponent shoots a ton of threes, well, then you're going to have to make up for that some way, whether that's offensive rebounds, whether that's turnovers, whether that's just shooting 75% inside the arc. Like, it just does play out. And so you look at this Arizona team and you're like, man, if, they're not a super high volume 3-point squad, so if they only make 5 or 6 threes, well, then they're going to have to out-rebound us a ton, or they're going to have to turn us over, which Arkansas really doesn't turn the ball over much. They're going to have to get out in transition, get us in foul trouble, and those are all realistic things that could happen, but you start kind of doing the math of all the variables, and you're like, if Arkansas holds serve in the rebounding department, I don't think Arizona is going to shoot the lights out of this gym, and if they don't foul defensively, which is kind of our MO, then they're not going to have a ton of free throws. Like, the math kind of checks out here. And so it's going to be very interesting to see how Arkansas defends Arizona and kind of forces them to make some of those decisions. We see Arkansas make their opponents kind of make these weird business decisions because there's kind of, you're like, oh, we have all these open looks here. And then you look at the end of the game, you're like, we're getting a lot of open looks, but they're still outscoring us. And I think Arkansas's 3-point volume is going to be massive in this game too. I don't want them to go crazy chucking it. They can make a few threes early. It starts putting a little bit of pressure. You might force Arizona into chucking a little bit more, which is what, like Arkansas said, they don't want to do.
Yeah, I was even saying, if Malik Thomas, for instance, comes out and he hits his first 3, I'm like, I want you to shoot every single time.
I hope he takes 10.
Yep.
I hope he takes 10 in this game.
Yeah, because I feel like if he took 10 threes, regardless of where they're at, I'm like, he's making it minimum 4. Like, just how you feel.
The percentages don't lie.
Yeah. I mean, so it's like, hey, 4 threes, go along with it. And like you said, Andrew, maybe some long offensive rebounds that come off of the misses there too. Shout out to Jamer's time, whatever. Appreciate Super Chat. He goes, do y'all think last year's Sweet 16 game hangs over guys like TB, Billy Goat, and 3J and gives them extra motivation to shoot the lights out? I mean, I feel like I'm hoping that they have the motivation no matter what to shoot the lights out just because, you're in the Sweet 16. But, I mean, if there's an element of the way last year ended and that's a motivation for them to lock in and play a little bit harder, I don't know, maybe, but I'll take whatever you can get. But I don't know. I just feel like they're probably all three motivated, especially a guy like TB, where it's like, hey, this is my last game as a college athlete. Like, you're in the tournament. You have a chance to beat number 1 Arizona. To me, that's all the motivation you should need.
Yeah, 100%. I'm sure that there's a level of, I don't know, like ratcheted up intensity, or they've probably at least thought about it. These guys who were here last year and we're just on the brink of moving on and making that Elite Eight. But yeah, there's so much that's happened since then. It's a different team, different circumstances, different opponent, all that stuff in there. And I'm with you. Like a guy like Trevin, probably super motivated because he doesn't want his career to end. A guy like Billy, he has the same level of motivation every single day. He just wants to kill everything in front of him. DJ could be one, or I could see because of the way that it went down for him, to where he's like, that ain't happening again on my watch type of deal. And maybe that could be something we ask him a little bit later in the locker room. But yeah, these guys have plenty of motivation for this game without having to look too far back into the past.
Shout out to also JT from Laurel, Mississippi for becoming a member. So we appreciate you. JT from Laurel, Mississippi. I don't know. Do you know where's Laurel, Mississippi? Do you guys have any idea?
No clue.
Okay.
Not a clue at all.
All right. So, well, appreciate you regardless.
But welcome.
Yeah, welcome in. Glad we have some Mississippi love out there too. So, hey, shout out to Matthew. Says, Arizona fan here. Been enjoying the content the past few days. I'm resigned to the fact that Arizona may never reach the Final Four again. It's been 25 years.
This is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
They feel that type of way. It was kind of like before Arkansas got back to the second weekend where everybody's like, I don't know, man.
Like Arizona's been to the Final Four since Arkansas has. So I feel like we feel over here.
Yeah.
It's
well,
like,
I think you should at least wait until they lose the game. If they lose the game, then yeah, you should maybe start having that conversation. But like, why give up right now? You're 2 games away from it.
Yeah.
It might happen this weekend.
This brings me back to what I was saying the other day about how I feel like the last however many years, whenever we do our brackets, I fill it out and I'm like, all right, I've got Arizona winning it.
Mhm.
I've got Arizona in the title game. And then that's my bracket that gets busted right away. I'm like, what? They were great in the regular season. I imagine their fans probably feel that. They're looking at this and they're like, yeah, we know we're good. We're 34-2. We got all these big wins, huge team, NBA talent, favored to win this game or whatever. But it's like, been there before. So, and I mean, they might have played Duke or something last year, but in some of these games, like Arkansas that's a bear of a team to be in front of you. And I think that's the other thing that people have to consider
Bear down.
with, that's true. Yeah. I should have had a better choice of words there. But, with Arkansas, this is not like, last year when they were a 10 seed or a couple years ago in Des Moines when they were an 8, like Arkansas, they're a top 4 seed, man. They were a protected seed, the SEC tournament champs. They're pushing 30 wins. The Hogs are really, really good too. Arizona's had the better season. They're favored as they should be, but this is not some, wow, how did Arkansas get to this point? No, they're actually exactly where they're supposed to be. This was the matchup that we were supposed to get when this bracket came out. So I think it's going to be a heck of a game.
We're in a reverse jinx off with the Arizona fan base.
Love it.
Yep. It's funny how both teams feel like they, it's been so long and they haven't had this or haven't had that. But I think Arizona, I don't know. I don't have their history in front of them, but this has to be one of the best regular seasons they've ever had, right? I mean,
I can't imagine they've had much better than 2 losses.
So, I try to put it into Arkansas's perspective. Like, what if the roles were reversed and Arkansas was a team that was 34-2 and their only 2 losses were to 2 really good teams by 3 points? Like, would we be feeling the same way like Arizona fans? Maybe so. But, I feel like if you're an Arizona fan, the only thing you got to be nervous about is just Arkansas and Darius Acuff. But that's about it. I'm
just looking back at their records to see.
They've had some really good teams.
It's the best they've had in the Kimpom era that goes back to 97. They were 33-4 in Tommy Lloyd's first year.
Crazy.
But
that is crazy.
Yeah. They've been 1 seed, 2 seed, 2 seed, 4 seed, and they haven't got out of the Sweet 16.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So maybe I do understand a little bit of maybe why you feel the way you feel, but let's just hope this isn't the time. Hopefully you continue to feel that way after this weekend. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I hope you guys never make the Final Four.
Yes, exactly. Let's see a few more here too. Let's see. David says, how does Arizona size compared to the Texas or Tennessee size? Is the size being overblown?
I don't know yet if it's being overblown. We'll find out. But I do see a lot of comparisons to Florida, and I think people do that because Arizona beat them and because of what Florida did to Arkansas. But they're not starting 6'10", 6'10", 7 foot or whatever in their lineup. They've got the 7'2" guy he's built different. That's a large man that's going to be in there, but the rest of them are in the 6'8" range, and so it's not a height type of thing. But I think Koa Pete's like 235 pounds, Awaka's 250 pounds. It's the physicality. So from that standpoint, I think they remind me a lot more of Tennessee. They don't necessarily, I'm not saying they're not an athletic team, but they don't soar over the top of you and get the rebounds at the square and beat you that way. They're kind of like Tennessee, where they just shove you around. They're heavy on you. They push you up under the rim, and that's how they kill you on the boards because you're stronger than all the teams they play.
Also, Heartbroken Hog just says, Curtis, do you think we have to play our best game of the season to win?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do. I do think that.
Yeah. Is Arizona the best team that Arkansas is going to, like, because they've had a great schedule. Like, are they the best team that they're going to face all year long?
It's either them or Florida, right?
Yeah.
Or Duke, I guess.
Duke.
I mean, Arkansas, they played Duke. They played Houston. Yeah, Florida's in there. Arkansas played a really, really difficult schedule. Arizona might be the best team out of that group, but this is certainly not one of those, wow, we haven't seen anything like this all year. I mean, there's been a lot of teams like that, but hard to argue.
It has also been a while. I mean, that Houston game was right before Christmas. You know, that Duke game was on Thanksgiving. You know, I'd imagine, honestly, I would imagine Duke has gotten a lot better. Arkansas has gotten a lot better. Houston's gotten a lot better. Texas Tech hasn't gotten better because they lost their best player. But, you know, like a lot of the teams Arkansas played, that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
you know?
and also adding into it, the last time you did play one of those caliber teams was Florida, and you got the brakes beat off of you.
Which
down
wasn't
in
that long ago.
No, it wasn't. And it's funny how things have changed because you haven't lost a game since that point in time. Like that was the game that kind of made a difference.
They all looked in the mirror like John Calipari told them to, and they decided we're not doing this again.
Yeah. Well, I think you said Arkansas had a difficult schedule, right? Okay. I thought there were some other coaches and teams that talked about difficult schedule and how like that's why they've lost many games. You know,
well, yeah, that's
like Arkansas. I don't hear Cal coming out there and being like, we had the toughest schedule, but yet somehow they still won plenty of games and they're in the Sweet 16. Who would have guessed? So a few more here too. Hey, shout out to Tamara. I want to bring this up. She says, "Hey guys, I've only missed 2 games in my bracket.
Yeah, she's balling.
I am in the 99.8% in the bracket standings. That's crazy.
Unreal, actually. Yes. I don't personally know anybody who has a bracket this good, this deep into it.
No. Like I can't believe that, but that's awesome. I mean, it's not been like a whole lot of upsets, but there's been some enough to kind of mess with you a little bit.
You shouldn't have a 99.8% bracket. No. There's been enough upsets for that.
Yeah, I mean, were your 2 misses Texas and Iowa being
what it would be kind of brutal if like one of her misses was like Wisconsin in the High Point. What's like the one game that's like kind of in there, like, oh man, that stinks. Yeah. So let's see. Also, Hickory Hog says, "Can you all ask Brandon Burries a question for me? The couch or the recliner? Which one will you be watching Darius Acup play in the Final Four from?"
That is crazy.
Hey, I feel like he's a guy that's getting a little bit like overlooked in this matchup.
He's a hooper.
He might be, dare I say, their best player. He might not be, but he's really good. I feel like everybody kind of, you know, Koa Pete was like the big freshman that everyone talked. Everybody's talking about the size, the 7-footer, and of course you got the Big 12 Player of the Year right next to him. I feel like Burries is kind of the one I maybe fear the most.
He's nasty. And I'm starting to see more of it now, but I don't know why he's not in some of those elite guard conversations in this draft. That dude is good. If I'm not mistaken, he's actually their leading scorer. But yeah, that's interesting.
I think he's like
that's a good chat right there. I'm not participating in that though. I got a lot of respect for Brandon.
That is a great chat.
Yeah. No, don't worry. I'll volunteer. I'll be the guy. I'll ask him.
Recliner
or couch. Because I personally, we're going to talk a little bit about it in our heavy hitters. But I was like, we've had some ideas of causing some chaos in the media side of things with college basketball. Us personally taking it on. We'll get into that and have some fun with that.
Hey, look, there's Daniel
there
Shee
too. Yeah. So, Daniel Shee is in the house.
Surprise,
man. He is here. Yeah. Act surprised. Better go over there and give him a hug.
Do you think he won the competition or no?
I've probably medaled.
Oh man,
we got to chill out. Chill out.
By the way, Stan is over here talking about Malik Sealy. He hopes he plays tomorrow.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I saw people like actually upset about that. If you're upset, you shouldn't be. I get it. He messed his name up, and I think he should probably apologize to him. But it's like, I don't think he did it to be malicious. I think it just, there's a lot of Maliks on this team.
Well, he was telling the entire world that he was going to play him. So
Right.
I would just be happy about that if I was Sealy.
And trust me, as people who speak for a living all the time, we would never do this.
I would
never
never
mess up someone's name ever. Yeah, I've never done that before in my life. So I totally can relate to that. I'll tell you what, we'll get to more of your chats, folks, but let's go ahead and do a little bit of a heavy hitter action presented by our friends over at HD Roofing Construction, because we know in the state of Arkansas, storms can hit, man. They can happen at any point in time. You never know when it's going to happen, especially as the year goes on, getting into the April and Mays, a lot of storms, tornado season, all of those crazy things. And your last line of defense is that roof of yours. So you have to make sure your roof is okay. You got to make sure that it's good to go and it can handle all the elements. Have HD Roofing take care of you, because they're going to give you a free inspection. They're going to tell you if your roof's good to go. They're going to tell you if your roof needs repair. They're going to tell you, hey, you need to replace this right now. And they're always going to do it with professionalism, top quality materials, and expert installation for any and all of your roofing needs. And they have 2 different offices that you can hit up. If you're in the Northwest Arkansas area, you can call them today at 479-957-1928. Or if you're in the Central Arkansas area, give them a call at 501-428-0429. You can also check out their website at hdarkansas.com to learn more. It's HD Roofing and Construction, the official sponsor of our heavy hitters here on Inside Arkansas. So, guys, getting into a little heavy hitter action here. I was trying to think of how to make this get to a point to where I can use something as a heavy hitter so we can discuss it a little bit. But I'm gonna throw out the heavy hitter of being college basketball in general and seeing kind of the chaos that looks to be a brewing behind the scenes from a national landscape. Because as we heard yesterday, Hubert Davis is out at North Carolina. And last time we checked, I think North Carolina's a pretty decent job in college basketball. I think people would like that. Well, then there's still some speculation, legitimate speculation about Kansas and Bill Self and his future and what they got going on. Then you got the craziness about Will Wade possibly going back to LSU. It's madness already. And we haven't even gotten to the Sweet 16. But I just love that college basketball continues to deliver. The ratings to the NCAA tournament are through the roof. It's awesome. Also, you got the coaching craziness that's going on behind the scenes with some big time programs that could cause a lot of shifts from other teams. Anytime that people think, college sports, you're losing at this, losing at that. Not college basketball, man. This is still why it's the best time for stuff that's going on the court as well as off the court.
Yeah, it's insane how all this is going on. I am grateful that portal season is not in full blast also right now. You're getting the announcements of guys who have their intentions or whatever, but we all know if this was open like it usually is this time of year, you add that to it, it would be absurd. It would be crazy. But yeah, this the NCAA tournament, it gets no better than this. This coaching carousel stuff is crazy, man. It's absolutely wild. That the North Carolina, that's a seismic shift in the landscape of college basketball, because they are, unless they go do the Billy Donovan thing and actually get it done or something, they're going to pluck a very, very good sitting power conference coach, and then that job is going to be open. It's like the domino effect there. I'm going to be interested to see what happens with the Bill Self thing. That was really heating up, and I guess he made a statement that was, it was like BS reporting, but that no decision had been made yet. So, okay, not really denying anything there. The Will Wade thing's just funny to me. I don't really care about NC State, but I kind of feel bad for him now, because if LSU is going to the links, this is crazy given how all that ended with him. But if they're trying to hire his former athletic director at McNeese to a administrative role overseeing men's basketball or something, just to get him back and pluck him back while Matt McMahon's just sitting there chilling while he still has the job, that's nasty work right there. But that's what Will Wade does.
Do you remember when Arkansas hired Bobby Petrino back in 2008? And the only downside of it was we were like, man, this guy's a great coach. He's in the NFL. He was a great job at Louisville. The only downside is he's kind of an asshole, and he might, that was kind of the narrative in the moment. It was like, that's the only downside, is this guy's kind of a jerk who might screw you over. And he wound up screwing Arkansas over a few years later, but we at least got 4 good years. When you hire Will Wade, that's the one thing. You're like, all right, this guy's a great coach, great defense. He's got NCAA tournament. He's been at the high level before, but he is kind of a jerk who may screw us over. They didn't even get 1 year, man. That's crazy. You immediately, the thing you worried about when you hired Will Wade, which, by the way, Arkansas wasn't even allowed to pursue Will Wade, because it was like one of those things where it's like, oh, it's too big of a risk. The SEC commissioners are going to shoot this down or whatever. For them to take that risk and it to blow up so quickly is like, dang, that's a tough break.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to let everybody know, though, also with the North Carolina job opening up, there's a lot of coaches that are being in the mix, and even a hot board that has been out there. And I've seen that Tommy Lloyd of Arizona is one of those coaches. And personally, I think that he would be a fantastic hire for North Carolina. The results are there. The Wikipedia page speaks for itself. And I think that if they decide to make that move, they should do it pretty soon, to really get the ball rolling. He's got to get in recruiting and transfer.
Got to get his staff in there.
Got to get his staff in there and everything. So if that's the route that they wanted to go, then yes, absolutely. I think Tommy Lloyd would make a phenomenal coach.
Press go right now. Go ahead and just make the announcement.
Yeah, make it happen.
I wonder how they feel about that, because he has been brought up on several of the hot boards, and I saw Goodman say, hey, he might be number 2 on their list, and it seems legitimate that North Carolina would be interested in him. I know that Arizona fans were yelling at you, but I'm not talking about the fans so much as I would be interested in talking to some of the media folks who are down here saying, could it actually be a thing? Not that I don't know that it would distract them now or whatever, if he'd even take the call or just funnel it through his agent or something now, but that's some pretty fascinating stuff there. Because I think Tommy Lloyd's been out there most of his career. I know he was under Mark Few at Gonzaga. It seems like he's got a hell of a situation going on right now, but it's North Carolina.
See, that's my thing. It's like, as a Razorback fan, I'm not saying I wouldn't be upset, but if whoever, it's not Cal, but say if some coach was having success here and then North Carolina came calling, it's kind of like, headgummit. Like, I mean, it's like you can't. Again, it's like North Carolina's a top 2, top 3 job, and so it's like I get if Arizona you'd be upset and all that, but Carolina job is not also a job that opens up very often. I mean, what is it? They've had 4 coaches in the past 50 years.
And it's always someone that they hire from inside of the quote unquote family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They very rarely go out and do a huge nationwide coaching search.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it'd be a pretty rare thing, but just again, if you guys want to hit them up, let them know. See if you're interested.
As a Carolina hater, and I've hated Carolina my whole life, I hope they hire Mark Hadafew. Because I don't think you would do a great job there, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're in a conundrum here because they went from Dean Smith to Pat Doherty. That didn't work out, but then they got Roy Williams, but then Hubert Davis obviously didn't work out. So it's kind of go back and forth. So I think they probably need to get this one right, especially seeing Duke having the success post Coach K. It's got to be eating them inside, got to be eating them up inside. So, but yeah, that's my heavy hitter for today.
I think Hubert Davis's record there was 124-50 years. He actually had a really good record, but they had the weird tournament misses or barely getting in a couple times. I think he's genuinely a really good dude, and it does kind of suck because the way that it went down there, had they not blown a 19-point lead against VCU, just won that first game that you were supposed to.
Without your best player, by the way.
He probably would have gotten the Caleb Wilson, okay, let's try again another year and hopefully you're healthy situation, because they had a pretty good year in the regular season. I think they were a 6 seed, but had they had him, they probably would have been a top 5 seed, but it is what it is.
Didn't you have success against Duke, too? I think he beat them.
They beat him this year.
They beat him the first game this year.
I think in his career, the few years he was there, he beat him
we buried
half the time, it seemed like.
Coach K.
Yeah, I mean,
so
that alone should get you 2 years for doing that thing.
Exactly, man.
But yeah, that's my heavy hitter.
Okay, well, I mean, and that's honestly the direction that I was going to go. Also, I didn't know if you were going to get into the Will Wade stuff. We're going to talk about Carolina. I was going to have all those. The heavy hitters are some of the jobs that are coming open.
Yeah.
Will Wade, American Gangster. He's always a heavy hitter behind the scenes. I did see. Forgive me because I don't remember who I saw the report from on social media, but that. I guess Will Wade's meeting with NC State brass and they're going to let them make an offer or whatever. So either way,
strong ass offer, would you say?
Either way, he's getting his money. Now, I would laugh and I would get a lot of joy out of all this. And then he just leverages and gets a big raise at North Carolina State, and LSU sitting there with their meat in their hand and Matt McMahon still in the office.
Beautiful.
That's
what I want.
That's what I want. That'd be beautiful, actually. And then they come up and be like, we were never gonna McMahon's our man. We were never going to do anything. So yeah, that'd be perfect.
You want to talk about heavy hitters? A Lane Kiffin, Will Wade duo down there would be just insane levels of news.
Oh, I hate it because I hate LSU, but it's at the same time that'd be it wouldn't lack any sort of personality or energy or intrigue. I can tell you that. So.
I don't want to because I simply think Will Wade would win a lot of basketball games at LSU.
He would,
I don't know if they would just immediately be up and running and be in the Final Four or anything like that. But I'm good with LSU just remaining what they are right now, which is nothing. in the basketball term.
And also, real quick, before you get yours, Andrew, college sports now more than ever is really about bringing people back home. West Virginia did it with Rich Rodriguez. You got Arkansas did it with Bobby Petrino. You got, it happens pretty often. So I think that's the new thing to do. So it would make sense if Will Wade went back home to LSU.
Yeah, I like that. Well, my heavy hitter's got to be. I was going to go Carter Rudenbar, but I think there's a chat later that will cue me up for some Carter Rudenbar stuff. Although shout out to him. I got to go TJ Pompey. And I want to go TJ Pompey because one, he had 2 home runs yesterday, which anytime you do that, cool, very, very worthy, heavy hitter right there. But the dude's just been killing it here lately. And listen, I'm sure he's going to still have his ups and downs. I don't think he's just going to be, Babe Ruth for the remainder of his career or anything like that. But for as loud as the panic and disrespect and the get this guy out of the lineup and let's bench him and listen, we talked about his struggles. It was a very big storyline early in the year for Arkansas of if this lineup is going to be what they need to be, you're going to need your transfers to step up. Micah New did that. He's hitting 320, driven in a ton of runs. TJ Pompey has now done that. He's now have 6 home runs, which is second on the team. He's hitting 263. His OPS is right under 900. You look up right now and you're like, holy cow. If I had showed you these numbers 6 months ago and I'd been like, hey, that's what TJ Pompey's going to do through the first, 30 games of the year, you'd have been like, yeah, that's fine. I'll take that. And so I want him to get the credit for that. And again, I come back to so many people were very loud and publicly being like, screw this guy, get him out of here, don't put him in the lineup. And I'm not even saying you were necessarily wrong to feel that way. I mean, he was really struggling for a while there. I mean, he was striking out damn near every at-bat. They clearly needed him to pick it up. They needed to, get him going a little bit. But I just don't think any of those people who are doing that are going to circle back and be like, oh, yeah, TJ Pompey's actually good. Shout out to our guy, Garrett McCollum, who actually did do that very thing. But I think there's going to be very few people that actually do that. So I just wanted to make sure he got his love because I think he deserves it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll set you up for that chat that you're referring to from Butcher Boy when he says this chat's for when we get to the baseball talk. It says, Andrew, did Carter Rutenbar take over the lead for the DH spot with his ongoing success at the plate? He has my vote.
I think if there's a right-handed starter on Friday night, which I think there will be because it's going to be Liam Peterson of Florida, I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Carter Rudenbar in there. I think you probably, at the very least, you're looking at maybe a platoon situation and, you bring one of those guys off the bench. The reality is you're going to need everyone. I know that's kind of a cliche cop-out, but it's not like Hickey Hull Law is just going to go away and never factor in for this Arkansas baseball team. In fact, I think it's probably more likely that Hickey winds up having an everyday role for this team in some form or fashion. But with the way Rudenbar is swinging it, he's hitting over 400 now. Not a huge sample size, but over 400. He had a double off the wall. He had a home run, so he's starting to get that power going a little bit. This is a guy that when I had Joe Doyle on the podcast a few months ago, a draft guy, he randomly from the clouds was like, one of my favorite prospects on the roster is Carter Rudenbar. I think he's just a bulldog, plays with kind of a Drew Gilbert type of personality out there, just a toughness. And he's a stud, man. He's definitely forced his issue, which is just what you want on your baseball team or any sports team. You want your younger guys to not only be talented, willing to help, ready to help, but you want them to play well enough to where it really makes you look at juniors and seniors in your lineup and say, all right, should we just roll with these young guys? And I think Reese Robinette's another guy who quietly falling into this category a little bit where he's hitting 250, not bad, but he hasn't really produced a ton in the lineup. And so I don't think his spot is super secure. Kahio Aloy's spot, certainly not super secure, which is kind of crazy that it's played out this way. And really, you just need to have guys go to the line, go to the plate and know, hey, I need to give a good AB right here or else I might be in trouble. That can put pressure on guys, but that's what you're going to face. That's what this is all about. And so I think it's good that Arkansas is having this issue right now. And I do think Carter Rudenbar is, at the very least, going to get more ABs on the weekend moving forward.
All right, so getting to some of your chats before we wrap up here, folks. Really appreciate all of you tuning in and hanging out with us. Again, if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do so because we're going to have some locker room interviews and some practice footage and all that great stuff happening here at Inside Arkansas. But shout out to Hayden for the super chat. Says Cal has yet to get his once-a-year win when he's the big underdog. I feel like this could be the one. I don't count the Mizzou game because we were favorites, WPS.
I don't count the Mizzou game because it's Mizzou.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying without Darius Acup. That was a good one to get. It felt like Alabama was supposed to be that game.
Yes.
And we've said it before, but that was as salty as we've seen Cal after a game, maybe in his tenure. Right? He was madder after that Alabama game than he was losing to Kentucky at home.
It's crazy.
So I think he kind of felt that too. But you're right. I mean, that's what they tell us. He's good for one of those every single year. He also has like a ridiculous record in Sweet 16 games and Sweet 16 games as an underdog. There's a lot of historical things that kind of point to this as this is kind of what he does. But we'll see, man. None of that matters. Like it's kind of like you were mentioning the other day. Like whatever pick Kentucky player of the past did in such spot, it's completely irrelevant to this. Same thing with Arizona. They lost to Princeton a couple years ago. It doesn't matter now, and it really nothing that's happened this entire season up to this point matters. It's a one game, anything can happen type of sample size. If you played Florida and Iowa, a 7-game series, it would probably go 4 or 5 max. But the one that they wound up getting, man, was the one that counted. Same thing here for Arkansas against Arizona.
I also think the Texas Tech game is like they weren't massive underdogs, but they were like 4 or 5 point underdogs in that game. That I felt like, what does that count as? Did we reach the quota? I don't know. But I would say that is an example of Arkansas being underdogs, playing a really good opponent, and rising to the occasion and pulling one out that people didn't think they were going to win. So, I'll be okay if they do it again this weekend, though.
Yeah, we'll do a few of these rapid fire before we close out because we got to get ready for the big stuff.
Yeah,
the
we got
big
work
stuff. Yeah, we got to get to work over there too. So, but David just says, "Hey guys, good to see you. I hope Arkansas beats the brakes off of Arizona and still in the tourney on my birthday on the 31st. Love watching you guys. Thanks for all the content." Hey, thanks, David.
Happy upcoming birthday. Good stuff.
Let's hope it's a great one there too.
The big 3-1, you never forget it.
That's right. Black Neighbors just says, Curtis, did Trey Biddy send you a cease and desist for doing a walk and talk?
I hate to inform everybody of this. Trey Biddy is not the first or last person to put a phone on a selfie stick and talk into it. So
while walking. While walking. Yeah. Not the first one. Also, Chase, where was it? Chase just says, this is the best y'all have ever sounded. Y'all sound like legit radio microphones. Yeah. Apparently we were like whispering and then like we're in the library. We're in the media area. We don't want to try to bother everybody. In fact, it's amazing how many people have made sure to not sit close to us. We feel like we're the stinky kids at the in the cafeteria, because everyone's like, we don't want to listen to that. We gotta type things.
That's what the microphones are for, also, so that we don't have to scream in this room. So we appreciate the one nice comment amid the sea of complaining.
Yeah, because like D Cliff is over here saying I sound like an ASMR video, and I'm like, I don't know if I like that, but hey, we appreciate you tapping and listening to us anyway. So. Let's see. Courtney says, do y'all think that we'll have more fans since every non-Arizona fan is cheering for the underdog?
No, I think it's going to be an Arizona takeover here,
I do
honestly.
too.
I mean, I know there's a good amount of Razorback fans that are going to be out here, but this is going to be a lot closer to that St. John's game last year in terms of the split in the atmosphere, I do believe.
Yeah. Let's see. Also, this one comes from Dane. He says, question, do the players get to watch the opposing teams practice while it's open to everybody? No, that would be kind of funny if they did.
You just line them up and make them scout.
David says, are we the smallest team left in 16?
No, Arkansas's not small. They start 2 6-10 guys. They're the 3-1 seeds that are left are just abnormally large.
Yeah, that's why it's so funny when they say, just go get one of those guys. It's like as if they're all over the place. Yeah, just go get those 7'2" dudes that are just massive. Let's see. Phil says, maybe Cal tried to play Sealy more, but kept yelling the wrong name down the bench. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, he's like, Malik, and then Ewan just comes by.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I like that one. Let's see. Short, white, and slow. Great. Says Curtis, do you expect Arizona to play drop coverage with Krivas in the PNR?
Yes. Yeah, I do 100%. So Arkansas is going to have to take advantage of that. They did a good job with it against Hawaii. Alabama is a team that does a lot of that, and Arkansas really cooked them. Krivas, he's a really good rim protector. Moves well for his size. But he doesn't move well relative to how Arkansas does. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to take advantage of that, getting him involved in more ball screens and get him in situations where he has to make a decision between, do I have to step up and contest this A-cuff guy or, what about Ewan or Brazil rolling to the rim? There's going to be a lot of different things that Arkansas can do, I would imagine, to try to get that big man moving, run him up and down the floor, challenge him laterally. Getting him in foul trouble, it's not like they don't have anything behind him, but that dude's just quite literally built different. So if you get him out of there, that'd be a good thing.
All right, just a couple more here. Jamer Time just says, if it's a Cal versus Patino championship game, the Mafia will be swarming.
Yeah, it's
true.
Also, Arkansas would win that game.
Yes, they would.
For the record.
Yes, they would.
They would, yeah.
In fact, that would be the most comfortable I would ever feel going into a national championship game ever. It's just like, Cal's gonna beat Patino. Come on now. And finally, Nick just says, I feel like this is an even game the SEC prepared us for teams like Arizona. Billy Richmond is going to have his way with this matchup. He's too fast and too athletic.
Did the SEC prepare you for Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, they're good teams in the SEC, but Arizona's they're really, really good, man. But again, like this is not the Monstars versus the Toon Squad here. I think they're going to be okay.
Well, the Toon Squad won that one.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Maybe it is the Toon Squad.
And Billy's already got his secret juice or whatever, so maybe that's a thing. I'm love me some Billy Richmond. He's also very, very rim dependent, and Arizona's really tough to score on around the rim. So I'm going to be anxious to see what this looks like for Billy. I think a lot of his impact's going to have to be defensively and on the backboards, and the way for him to get his points is, and hell, maybe he knocks down a couple threes again or something, but I think it's Arkansas getting out on the run and him converting in transition will be a big, big part of it. And, in the half court, we'll see what it looks like there.
All right, guys, any final thoughts before we wrap up here? Before we get into the good stuff and talking with some of these players and coaches and all that great stuff?
No, none other than what you said, which is that we'll have practice footage up for you guys before too long, and then we'll have some locker room videos. And then once we wrap up everything today, Andrew and I we'll get together, record a little vibe check, and have it out for you. So a lot will be coming out on the YouTube channel. So subscribe to it, turn on the noties, and you should be good to go.
I've got two final thoughts. My first is to encourage fans to reframe the way that they view the world and the way that they view everything. Because there's a lot of mental gymnastics that we do leading up to big games, and that's normal. We all kind of look at things. If Arkansas wins tomorrow, it's not going to be because Arizona sucks. It's not going to be because Arizona's frauds or because they weren't prepared for a team like Arkansas. It's going to be because Arkansas beat a badass basketball team, and because Arkansas is a badass basketball team. And if Arizona beats Arkansas, it's not going to be because Arkansas was this fraudulent team that can't play defense and can't do all this stuff. It's going to be because Arizona is one of the best basketball teams in the country. Let's just prepare for what we're seeing tomorrow, which is two of the best teams in the country playing for a chance to play in the Elite Eight and then potentially the Final Four. That's what we are doing here. That's what we're here to watch. That's what all the fans are here for. We don't have to do this weird dance where we're like, oh, does Arizona actually suck? And, no. These are two awesome basketball squads. I can't wait to watch them tomorrow, and I just want people to remember that. Second final thought, quit saying Hickey-Hull Law can't hit a slider. It's just not a true statement, and that's the quickest way to tell on yourself as a guy who's never watched Hickey-Hull Law's career. Now, the correct way to say it is Hickey-Hull Law should stop swinging at sliders in the other batter's box. No one can hit sliders that bounce in the other batter's box. Those are the ones he needs to not swing at. Hickey-Hull Law and all these other grown men that play in the SEC can hit a slider. Just quit saying stupid stuff. So you look stupid.
I can't say it better than that. And there it is. Subscribe to us, stop saying stupid stuff, and enjoy the moment and enjoy being here in the Sweet 16 and look at it as a case of, hey, you haven't lost the game yet. You have a good chance of winning. Let's see what happens and how it all plays out. But subscribe to us here at Inside Arkansas, and that'll do it for us here at Inside Arkansas Live today. For Andrew Ellis, Curtis Wilkerson, intern Cameron, I'm John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel. Tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and we will see you then.